expedition to ascend the highest peaks in the valley. Months of effort have gone into the preparation for this one moment. I do not do this because it is easy, but because it is hard. Do I have what it takes? Join me as we strive to reach the summit. We shall do this together. Cue the Miley Cyrus music. Wow. Whoa. Oh, okay. That's enough of that. Hi, this is David Salee, and welcome to another episode of What It Takes, where we take a look at what it takes to accomplish various goals in Disc Golf Valley. Grab your hiking shoes and trail mix, because this episode, we're going to do the climb. This is a pretty popular A-tier tournament and consists of 3 rounds. The first round will be the entire course of Oak Hills. The second round will be the entire course of Grizzly Gulch. And the final round will be the entire course of Crow's Nest. Lots of gettable eagle holes out there, so the scores are going to be pretty good. The keys to success are the same for every A-tier tournament. You need to be going in with the confidence that you can birdie every hole that you face. You also need to have a rather strong throw-in game, as it's going to come into play quite a bit on these courses. With that, you still need to maintain a pretty steady game play. So don't get too down on yourself if you don't make every shot perfect. You can make some mistakes and still win. You do not have to be perfect. Let's take a look at the bag that I'll be using in this tournament. I don't have any putters in the bag, even though I purchased the slots. I prefer to putt and do my throw-ins with my wind-accurate fuse. For the times when I need a bit more fade from my mid-range, I have included the wind-accurate compass. The 7-speed fairways pair really nicely, and having both the Explorer and the River be accurate and windbreak helps keep the shots on line and placed where I want them. I like the accurate glide musket to bridge the distance between the 7s and the wind glide recoil. The Skip Glide Havoc is still in there as my long-range skipper. The Glide Light Ballista Pro I am getting more experience with, and it has totally replaced my Light Glide regular Ballista. It's a monster driver and the best coin thus far spent in the shop. The Turn Windbreak Ballista Pro is still managing to hang out in the bag. And this round's roller is the Roll Light Ballista Pro, which, I'm still auditioning a good roller disc, and so I've been rotating several and still haven't quite settled. That's the bag I'll be using. Yours may very well vary. But there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're comfortable getting the birdies and having shots at eagles on the must-eagle holes, what you carry is totally up to you. And it's a great idea to try out all sorts of different discs to find ones that match your style. Okay, let's get this tournament started. Our first course is Oak Hills, and it is a fantastic course for shooting really low scores. There's lots of bomber holes and even roller opportunities. So I'm actually going to take my Roll Light Ballista Pro and give it a go on the first hole. The first hole is a must eagle, and so I'm trying to lay the roller down early, a little less than vertical, let it roll to vertical, and then go as straight as possible with a little bit of a finish to the right with the backhand. Unfortunately, I got it a little too vertical and also caught a little bit of air off the hill, and so it's going to actually finish a bit further away than I would like. Thankfully, there's no obstacles in the way. So 131 feet, line it up, just try and throw it in, and I got lucky and got the eagle. If it hadn't gone in, well, then I just would have actually restarted and played until I did get the eagle. So hole number 2 is just basically a basic birdie hole. And so I take my wind accurate Explorer, just move it to the right a little bit, throw it out there, let it land. It's not going to slide too far, thankfully, and leaves me with just a routine putt for birdie, which I happen to make. Hole number 3 is a bonus eagle if you can get it. And so I'm going with the Glide Skip Havoc and hoping to get as much distance as I possibly can. The disc flies very straight and it has that nice forward skip. And in this case, it did pretty well. It pushed through that bush, so therefore I only had 109, which isn't too bad of a distance, but unfortunately, I threw it not quite right and hit the guard. So instead of getting the eagle, I'm going to get a routine birdie. Since it's a bonus eagle, I'm not too worried about it, and I can move on to the next hole, which also happens to be a bonus eagle. In this case, this is an excellent opportunity to give my Roll Light Ballista Pro disc a shot again. In this case, I want to throw it to where it's a little bit over vertical and hope that it fades out to the right. And in this case, I put too much cut on it. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be left with a pretty long throw in. And the disc managed to go up the hill and then curl back down and actually get quite a bit closer to the basket than I was originally intending. So I'm kind of excited about that. With 115, you get that kind of opportunity. It feels so good to cash that in. So bonus eagle, I wound up getting it, and it was really a nice hole for me. So this next hole is a must eagle. Generally speaking, because of the distance and the elevation, it's not too difficult. Even with the 2 headwind, going with the Light Glide Ballista Pro, letting it go over the trees and slide as close as I can to the basket. 14 foot for eagle, yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. And this is back to being a bonus eagle. You can, with the right wind, make it all the way to the basket area. When I'm not really feeling it, then I'm just going to lay up with the Explorer, and then I can give this kind of a half run sometimes. I felt like I could try and throw it in. Unfortunately, caught chain on pro side and didn't stay in. So wound up settling for the birdie, but again, it's a bonus eagles, and you can see that the other AIs are struggling with it at times. Now we're back to another must eagle hole. With the headwind this way, I try and use a skip disc, and this is actually where the Havoc kind of has some issues. It goes a little too straight, and I really needed this to bend to the right and get a little closer to the basket. The skip wasn't too bad, but unfortunately that cut roll took it quite a ways away from the basket. And so, 133 with a 3 headwind, I lower it because of the wind, throw it, and get just super lucky. Dead center, got the eagle, and managed to keep things going. The double hill hole is another one where you really do want to get the eagle. It's a bit of a bonus eagle, but it's on the border of being both bonus and a must make. I threw the Havoc, caught a clip of a tree, but it still managed to get up there a fair distance. So 100 foot, faced with this, I should have adjusted it a little bit more, but instead I didn't, and I caught the hill, and it skips a long ways back down the hill. Because of the slope, you're going to wind up being quite a ways away if you make the miss. The 78 coming back isn't very friendly, but thankfully kind of on the same level, and managed to get the birdie. So it works out okay, but I really would have liked to have had the eagle on that one. This is the Mando hole. It's pretty routine. Usually go with my Accurate Glide musket, lift it up in the air and throw it. If you're higher in the air, it's going to fade more, especially since it is downhill. So just kind of a routine throw down there, and gives me a 32-footer for birdie. And so that gives me minus 13. In my experience, I have found that you really need to have somewhere between 13 and 16 if you want to contend. Thankfully, the AIs only managed to get 14 on this one, but I have seen them get as high as 16. So we move on to Grizzly. First hole is actually rather routine. I just use a fuse and throw it out there so it lands nice and gentle and somewhere close to the basket. Especially in the AI tournaments, and I'm just never running any of these for the ace. So just want to get the birdie and move on. Hole number 2 is a little bit similar, where I'm just going for the birdie. Because it's a forehand hole for me, I take the Wind Accurate Explorer, line it up off the 3 there, and give it some nice, let it go nice and wide. I got lucky where it cut early, but it bounced off the rock just fine, and even with the wind, I don't worry about a 39-foot putt, just throw it straight in. Hole 3, now we're back to a must eagle. This is, or at least was, considered one of the easiest holes in all of the Challenge of the Valley. And so it still registers that way to the AI tournaments. So I use my Havoc, bounce at the lower part of the hill, and it generally will get a really nice skip up there and leave me with a fairly decent uphill throw in. And as long as I don't go too high, then I'm getting it. You can see that the second person on the card got it as well. The bridge, I just try and use my Explorer, and I try and split the two rocks that you'll see there. As long as I land right in between there, like I did, it'll generally slide up. 23, I'm on a little bit of an elevation, so I go ahead and move the putt down and throw it in for birdie. Alright, this one is a bonus eagle if you can get it. And with the wind being a nice tailwind, you can oftentimes land at the top of the shelf. And so I throw my Ballista Pro out there, and I'm hoping that it's working out okay, but came up just a little bit short. Thankfully, it kicks out far enough that I have a really good view. And so 81 feet, I'm thinking, okay, I've got this. And instead, clip the top of the guard, then the top of the band, and have a tap in for birdie. Since it's a bonus eagle, I'm not, again, too worried about it, but it just really would have been a nice one to have. Hole 6, now we're back to a must eagle. There's this really nice route. As long as I put the top arrow just off that branch and then throw my light glide Ballista Pro, you can go around that arch, land in this nice safe zone, and have a rather routine putt for eagle. I take that route on all wind conditions. I never go through the arch, so it works out just really, really well. It's a nice one. This hole can be a pain sometimes. There's just no way around it. I either go with the Accurate Glide musket or the Wind Glide recoil, like in this, and I figure, okay, I'm just going to land over here, be nice and safe. Instead, the disc edges up, and when it edges up, it becomes a very thirsty disc, and it will seek the water no matter how far away it is. At that point, you just wind up being OB, and you take it from that location, and you just have to throw it. So I wound up with par. So a bit of an unfortunate roll, but those things are going to happen, and mistakes are okay in this game, as long as you don't make too many. So this next hole, I'm just trying to bite off as much distance as I can with my Skip Havoc. Landed in an okay spot. Because of the elevation, I make sure that I pick a disc that's a lot more stronger than what they are recommending. So instead of the Fuse, I'm going with the Explorer, and kicked up there nicely, left me just a routine 13-footer for birdie. So it works out okay. But it is a total bonus eagle. You don't have to get it. You can just get the birdie. Cave to Cave is one of the holes that people really don't like, and I actually don't really have any issues with it. I always put the top arrow on that basket marker, and I'll use either the recoil or use the musket. In this case, use the recoil because of the wind. Caught the edge of the cave, but it wasn't too bad, and left a routine putt for birdie. So at this point, we've completed 2 of the 3 courses, and so we have got ourselves in a position. We are currently in a 4-way tie for first, and we move on to Crow's Nest. Crow's Nest, this hole is just a regular birdie hole for me, so I'm using my Wind Accurate Explorer, going through the arch, letting it slide. If there's too much of a tailwind, you do have the ability to slide long and go OB, so you have to be careful of that. But most of the time, I can just throw it, maybe not 100%, and land nice and safe. Hole 2 is another routine birdie, so I'm just grabbing my Fuse and checking the wind. It's a little bit of a headwind, so I can be somewhat aggressive as far as my throw goes. If there's too much of a tailwind, you can actually slide long and go OB, so just trying to play it conservative, nice and safe, get the birdie, and move on to the next hole. And hole number 3, this is a must eagle. Doesn't matter on the wind conditions, I'm always using the same aim, which is that top arrow right at that little peak. And depending on the wind, though, I'm using either the Accurate Glide Musket or the Wind Glide Recoil. In this case, Wind Glide Recoil landed nice and soft on that slope, left a 21-footer for eagle. nice and routine. It is a must get. And you'll see that 3 of us on the card did get it. The next hole, this is actually a bonus eagle if you can get it. With that kind of tailwind, I'm going, you know what, this is a green light. 3 tailwind, you bet. I am placing the arrow just right on that vertical line, pulling with just a little bit of a hyzer and letting the disc just slide its way to success. I thought maybe it was going to edge up and roll a little bit too far, but instead it curled nicely near that rock and left an 11-footer for a nice bonus eagle. And this is making me feel pretty good. I'm now a stroke ahead, and I'm just hoping to maintain. Big square, I'm always using the same disc and the same aim. So I take that accurate windbreak river, put that center arrow on the basket marker, and pull almost just straight back. Check out the flight on this disc. It is so straight. And, you know, if it clips a little bit of a tree, that's just fine. It's just going to wind up being that, you know, in a real good spot next to the basket. So 37 feet on this hole is just a really nice distance. And so got to get the birdie there. And that's, for me, the easiest way to do it. The bounce mando is what I like to call this one. And so I'll take my havoc or whatever skip disc I have and just kind of get it in there. You have to worry about this happening, catching either that tree or that rock. And so it leaves a lot further distance than I would like. I prefer to get around those. But 72, you just got to focus and you just got to work on those throw-ins. And so managed to successfully get it in there and get my birdie and move on to the next hole. Here we go with another must eagle. With the tailwind this way, I can use my accurate glide musket. I always put the aim in the same spot, which is that bottom arrow on that basket indicator, and managed to, you know, land in this spot. This is where, again, your throw-ins are going to come in super handy, because if you miss this, it's going OB. There's just no way around it. So managed to line it up and throw it in, 88-footer. You can see pretty much everyone else is getting eagles as well. That's why it's a must eagle hole. The cave hole, it is just a glide wind break recoil for me. I just want to clear that mouth of the cave and let it slide as far back as it can. There's a good collection area there. So if you land anywhere in there, you're going to be left with a pretty decent, easy putt. And in this case, 18 foot. So we're now going to the last hole, and we have a 3-stroke lead. So that's pretty nice. This is a definite bonus eagle if you can possibly get it. For me, I'm generally just switching to backhand and using my accurate glide musket and throwing it out to that left shelf. I actually prefer hitting these rocks and being further away than closer, because at this 200-foot range, it works out really nicely for my Explorer. It just means that I've been there a lot. And so I throw that out there and curls in and get my bonus eagle, which is a great way to finish the round and to finish the tournament. So wound up not making really any mistakes on that particular round, which was really nice, and finished 4 strokes ahead of second place. And that's what it took to go ahead and win the Climb A-Tier tournament. As an end bonus, I can once again recommend that you learn how to juggle. It might help you become a better player. Already know how to juggle? Well, give the shower a shot. Know how to do that? Well, how about a high-low shower? Too easy still? Then let's climb the difficulty and go with a vertical shower, also known as a waterfall. That enables you to do a barrel over the falls maneuver. But careful your barrel doesn't get trapped in a vortex, because then you might start waving like Forrest Gump. This is David Slee, and I will catch you later.